Hello and welcome. It is midday on a Thursday Queensland time, and my name is Adrian Hanks, and I want to welcome you to the Where Am I Right Now Life Mastery Show. So welcome. Today I am live down from Kira Beach Lookout on the Gold Coast. I've just been to a BX breakfast meeting. I'm a regular attendee to those business breakfasts, so I've just finished quite early in one of the leadership team meetings to be here with you live at midday. So I'm just going to show you where I am, just to give you a bit of a so I'm up here on the top of the lookout. Behind me is the ocean, absolutely beautiful. And what I'd like to do, just to do my usual check-in, if I may do maybe with Nettie or Jesse, who I can see on the screen, please just do let me know that you can hear me well and see me well, because it's quite pointless chatting away to people who I cannot be heard from. So if you can let me know. Yeah, hi Nettie, I've been really absolutely fantastic. Every day's a great day, but if you could just let me know if you can hear me, that would be an absolutely great thing for you to do, and then I'll know I am being heard and seen at the same time, which is always a good thing when we are going live on these shows. Hello Marlene. So yeah, somebody could let me know that they can hear me, that would be absolutely fantastic. Hear and see you. Thank you, Jesse. Great feedback, so thank you. So yeah, look, I'm live from Kira Beach on the Gold Coast. I usually tune in from somewhere different every week, because I do travel around a fair bit. So just a little bit of background about how this show runs. Thanks, Nettie. How this show runs. This show is all about you. This show is about supporting you and being with you and helping to guide you to bring more awareness into your life, to bring more joy into your life, to bring more consciousness into your life. And the way that works on this show is for you to ask me questions and for me to give you some insights, some support, some words of wisdom perhaps, or words of insight in helping you to get on track and also stay in track. So this is about asking the question, where are you right now in your life? And how can I work with you to support you to bring more into your life? Whether that's physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, in relationship, whether that's financial, whether it's through vocation. And what I will say from the outset is I do not work directly with downloading information from spirits from the other side. Obviously, I use some intuition, some guidance sometimes, but this is not about me being the medium here and doing the work from the inside. So if you ask a question, for instance, of, how would my relationship be right now? My answer will simply be more from a psychotherapeutic perspective and an empowerment perspective of getting you to answer some clearer questions around that. So just for some clarity, I'm not doing the mediumship work on this show. There's lots of other people who work with the Spiritual Events Directory and the Spirituality Show from that space, and it's something I choose not to do. I'm doing it more from the perspective of the psychotherapeutic and coaching and counseling perspective. So just for that clarity, it's always good to get that clear, and so that we can get the right questions coming in, because I say when you get a clear question, I can then bring in a clearer answer for you, or clearer insight for you. So if anybody would like to start the day by kicking off by asking a question, that would be absolutely fantastic. Just a little bit of a fill-in, there's some regulars on here. I love seeing the regulars on here, so welcome, thank you. But also for some new people on here, welcome to you as well. And I say I'm on here each week, and it's been from different countries, from India, from Belarus, from Europe, all over Australia, because I do travel a fair bit, but I do my best to be here at midday on a Thursday for you. So Jesse, here we go. I am currently decluttering our world to have more freedom and allow time for fun and peace in our world, looking to create goal setting for our way of living in the road for a few years. So in terms of that statement, Jesse, I'm a great believer in goal setting. And how I work is creating the vision. So when I work with people, like, how do you create your vision? So you have a vision of what you actually want to receive. And I do that by writing my vision, by meditating on my vision, and by doing my vision boarding. and also by sharing that with a select few people so that I am clear with them on my vision. And then if that vision is thwarted in any way by my subconscious thinking or my old stories or my old saboteurs or by particular things, my team around me can actually support me to break through some of those blockages as well. So I work from the energetic perspective of having my team, and I have a physical team and I have a non-physical team, and collectively that team help me to create my vision. And once my vision is set and I'm clear about my vision, it's like setting the sat nav to go forward, I can then put in the plans. What do I need to do to actually reach my vision? What's my planning strategy? So I need to be, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, some vocational planning, some relationship planning, some financial planning. What do I need to do to put the plan in place? And once that's set, then I can take action and actually actualize my vision. Because visions are great, but if we don't put the work in to hold the vision, to create the planning and the action around the vision, oftentimes that's when the visions go flat and people then said, I did a vision board and it did not work. So it's not a case of just getting some pretty pictures out of a magazine and slapping on a piece of paper. Sadly, that's how a lot of people do vision boarding. I know a lot of people who teach vision boarding, and it's like, let's get some pictures and some words, slap it on the page, sit back, meditate, and let's hope all this happens. Well, visioning is a lot more than that. It really is about getting connected to the vision, working on the blockages, working on the subconscious mind, looking at the old stories, the old sabotage patterns, and those things that do not work, and we have to clear those up to help the process of the vision to happen. Yep. Sometimes, it's great, we can make a wish and we can say, I want to visualize my new car coming in and it may arrive in a few days, but generally unless we clear the subconscious mind and clear our way to being a receiver, then a lot of the time the visioning does not work. And this is where I come in as the coaching and as the mentoring to help people to actualize the vision so that things start to marry up so that the universe does deliver. So it's a case of finding that resonance in our work so that we actually receive the things we want in our life, whether that's in relationship, whether that's money, whether it's vocation, whether that's physical change in our physical body. So it's about setting that task to get the work. So I hope that helped you in that. It's sort of a statement. There's a question there from Jesse as well about setting the sights on the vision. So would love be the best way to plan this huge life goal? Always, Jesse, look, love, coming from the heart. So what I say is, if we just come from the heart without the thinking, there's usually an issue. If we come from the thinking without the heart, there's usually an issue. If we come from thinking and feeling, or from the heart without the action, there's usually an issue. So for me, it's about all three. It's about we think it, I think it, I create the vision, and then I feel into it and I go, what emotions are at play here? What am I doing right in my emotional space? And then I do the action. So it's think it, feel it, do it. Think it, feel it, do it, because it's a matter of putting all three into perspective. This is a holistic process, but of course love is a big part of it. And just on that, Jesse, one of the biggest parts is self-love, because seriously, if we don't love ourselves enough to receive what the universe wants to give us, we will not receive it, because we have in a space of receiving, and part of receiving is about self-respect and self-love. So all the work to begin with in the life mastery journey is about, do I love myself enough to receive? Do I love myself enough to get what I'm actually wishing for? So a lot of it is working on the old story, the old subconscious mind, where we're not good enough, we don't feel good enough, we've been told we don't deserve, or we feel we don't deserve. So a lot of the work I do in that coaching space, that mentoring space, is getting people to that space where they feel deserving, where they feel the self-love. It's a huge component. It really is. It's absolutely huge component. So check it out for yourself. Where are you right now in terms of your self-love? It's a really good question. So Neddy here, I have been struggling with bad vertigo lately, and I've been having trouble focusing on my work and learning. And he does this, I get you. Yep, so vertigo is a big one, but there are some specific exercises that you can do to reset the balancing, because the vertigo is caused by the crystals moving in the ears, and it causes the big wobbles. So there's some specific exercises you can do to reset the crystals in one's ears when you get vertigo. And if you want some support on that, net anybody else, Arlene, my wife, has become quite a expert in that field, because she actually had quite a bad bout of vertigo a couple of years ago, where she was actually hospitalized with it. So she really went through a big wobble, and she's learnt the exercises one needs to bring oneself back to stability. But on a deeper level, from a, that's the physical side, but on a metaphysical level, you've got to say, where else am I out of balance in my life? Because the physical symptom is always caused by the emotional symptom or the spiritual. So, if it's happening physically and you're out of balance, then you have to say, where am I emotionally out of balance, or spiritually out of balance, or perhaps financially out of balance, or vocationally out of balance, or relationship out of balance. Because when something happens on the emotional, spiritual plane, it will always come back to the physical if it's not dealt with in the spiritual or the energetic or the emotional space first. If we forget or overlook going into that space, it'll come back down and down and down until it gets into the physical, because the physical is the last place an emotion can go. So it's about, we deal with the spiritual, we deal with the mental, we deal with the emotional. If we don't, it will come into the physical body. The issue will go into the tissue, always. So it's about, let's try and learn to do preventative work before it comes into the physical body, by dealing with our emotions, by dealing with the mental, by dealing with the spiritual. Because we get an opportunity in those spaces to deal with our stuff. And if we choose to ignore it in that space, guess what? It will come into the physical. Nearly all physical ailments could have been, to some degree, prevented by doing the emotional work, the mental work, and the spiritual work. And that's just a given in the metaphysical world. So I hope that helps you, Nettie, there. So having a look at some life balance, and I know we've looked at that before, but maybe it's time to go deeper and find a bit more balance in one's life. Okay, love that. That makes good sense. Totally understand. Yeah, thanks, Jesse. I'm glad it makes sense. That's what I'm here for, hopefully. Good afternoon. My heart is acting for my daughter, who is suffering from diagnosed severe depression. Her best friends are trying to support her. Understands she needs a space and progress. How can I make them understand she needs more compassion and support? They are said. Yeah, so that group, Katie, is really hard when there's any diagnosis. So I'm going to be a little bit controversial here, and even in my family and friends and my professional circles, sometimes I step out and I become a bit of the devil's advocate, and I'm the one that speaks out. When people get a label, from a professional, there's a sad part to it. People take on that label. And then oftentimes, and I'm not saying this is a case with this person, but oftentimes what happens when people get that label, they become lazy. They don't take the responsibility to bring the very things into life that they need to stop the depression or stop the anxiety or whatever they've been diagnosed. Sadly, labels stop and arrest and slow down the healing process a lot of the time. Because people say, well, now I have an excuse for my behavior, my actions, my lack of will, my lack of thinking, my lack of compassion, my lack of love, because I now have a piece of paper to tell me that I'm diseased or I'm, have an illness. So these are seen as illnesses. For me, I see them as moments of opportunity. Yep. So if people are depressed, let's look at the depression. What's causing the depression? Let's go back to the basics of depression. And if somebody's being diagnosed depression, we have to look at the lifestyle. What is continuing to support that depression? So number one is no alcohol, because alcohol is a depressant. It makes people depressed. It does. I know you get the euphoric high to begin with, but at the end of the day it brings one back down to depression. Recreational, social drugs, and many prescribed drugs support depression. They don't break depression. Relationship. Are you depressed in the relationship? Is there more you can do in relationship counseling or support or coaching? Are you depressed because you haven't got enough money in your life? That's a huge one. 70% of the population have some depression around money because they're not wealthy enough. So looking at plans to bring the wealth in. Vocationally, are people with depression really following their passion in life, their vision in life? Are they doing artwork? Are they doing creative work? Are they doing meditation to help them to bring their mindset in? Are they eating organic, clean food? and getting rid of junk food. So there's a million things people can do to help. But sadly, when people get the label, they get lazy. And I may be being controversial, I don't apologize for it, because this is the truth, and we have to break through to the truth. So yes, people need love, they need compassion, they need support, but sometimes they also need a bit of a push to bring themselves back into the life balance, back into getting their life mastery back into their life. If I meet people and they tell me I'm depressed, I have a bit of a challenge around. They go, okay, I see you're still smoking. Would it be great to give up smoking? I see you're still drinking. Would it be great to stop drinking? Are you out walking in the bush? Are you getting into nature? Are you seeing a therapist? Are you dealing with your emotions? Are you on a spiritual path? Are you on a vocational path? Are you in a good relationship? Are you having good, honest sex? Are you having good intimacy? All those things need to be brought into the mix. And unfortunately, when people go to the professional doctor, doctors are not educated in that holistic space often. There are some great doctors out there, some great medical advisors out there who understand the physical, the emotional, the mental, the spiritual, but many don't. It's very allopathic, it's very pill-based. Take this pill and we'll deal with your depression. Yep. And as we know, it does not work. Yep. A huge amount of the population on the planet are on pills for depression, but they're not doing the lifestyle to deal with the depression. And I'm not saying depression is not there. There are moments we all get depressed. I get depressed, I have my moments. But it's about putting in resources and tools and education to help people with that depression. So there's clinical depression, but there's also what I call depression of the soul, depression of the spirit, where the soul is not happy, where the spirit is not happy. And for me, that's where I go in and do the work. That's why I do the coaching, the mentoring, and to engage, why are you depressed? Why is something suppressing and depressing your spirit? Because depression, if we take the word, it means we're being pushed down, we're being depressed. So we need to get rid of whatever it is that's pushing us down, and we have to spring up and rise up. And sadly, in our society, that's not very supported. So yep, I can be very controversial. I'm actually totally okay with that. I've had many conversations with people who say, Adrian, you do not understand, you don't have depression. Well, we all get depression on some level. And the more we feed the depression with a label, sadly, the deeper the depression goes. So for me, it's about turning that around and doing daily tasks to challenge the depression. Because depression is like an energy, and it will take over if we allow it to. Or we can stand more in our being, more in our I presence, more in our spirit, make life choices, and then if we need to, go into battle with that energy of depression. And sometimes it needs compassion, sometimes it needs love, sometimes it needs a big kick up the ass and told to get out of our life because it doesn't belong there. So yep, so we can have a whole debate and discussion around that, very happy to any time. But at the end of the day, it's a lifestyle choice that we have to support as well around depression. So I know I've raved on a bit about that, but I'm very passionate about not getting people in the label pill space. Because it's a short-term measure sometimes, I believe, to help people through it, but then we have to get the lifestyle happening. So yeah, friends are playing devil's advocate too. She is not doing drugs or alcohol. She is struggling with very low self-worth. Yep, there we go. So we have to look at what is the cause of the depression, and the lack of self-love is huge. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad she's not going on medication. She exercises and the soul is suffering. Yeah, so she needs some soul coaching, Katie. She needs to go to somebody like myself who understands the soul world, the spiritual world. And let's find out what she's really here to do on the planet. Let's feed her soul. Let's feed her soul. What is she here to do? What's the journey? What does she need to do to bring her self-love in? What's the old story? What's the old sabotage pattern? We have to look at that whole emotional process as well. So it's a big journey. Getting people out of depression is a big journey. Sometimes it's short term, sometimes it's medium term, sometimes it's long term. But getting the coach, the mentor, the therapist to work with somebody is really, really important. And if I can be of any help, please do contact me. And like anybody on here listening in, you can book in and have a free 30-minute consultation with me. So go to adrianhanks.com. If you can't connect with me there, go to my Facebook page, Adrian Hanks, and PM me and make contact, because it's what I love to do, is how I help people, is to get them back into life, get them back on track and help them to stay on track. Medication should be used as a tool for the interim and not long. Yep, very true, Krista. Sometimes people do need long-term medication depending on, but oftentimes it is a short-term measure if it's needed at all. Oftentimes, in my experience, people don't go into the story behind the depression. They just give the pill very, very readily and very, very quickly without actually doing the research about why somebody's depressed and looking at getting tools and resources to help along the way. It's like one pill for all ill. You know, it's a big pharma has got such a monopoly on depression, on other, soul illnesses or diseases or whatever language we have for it, and we've become big pharma dependent, and I think it's really, really sad. So that's okay, Katie. Very, very pleased, and I don't mind speaking out to really support people, because sometimes people need a bit of a push. I posted something up yesterday, and I'll repeat the saying, and it's actually beautiful, and it goes like this: "Jump," he cried. "We can't," they screamed. He pushed them, and they flew. So sometimes people need a push. Some people need a shove. And I'm not apologetic sometimes in helping people to get that shove or that push, because for some people it's what they need. Okay, sometimes it's like a compassionate shove, and sometimes it's less compassionate. So everybody's a bit different. But we have to break this cycle of labels. I really believe that. Labels can be very dangerous, and what they can do, they can take people's power away. They disempower people. And sadly, the medicos in the 3D world don't understand holistic processes. They point the bone, they label people, and it's very deliberating and very disempowering for people. So this show is all about the spirituality show. So this is about talking about spirit. This is talking about soul. This is talking about holistic lifestyle. This is talk about holistic health. So sometimes in the holistic space we have to be a bit controversial in that space, and I'm really okay being that. I've been around a long time in this world. So any other questions? Any other questions? And I'm very happy to talk a bit more on depression or any else, or any other topic that comes up. So adrianhanks.com is the website to go to. There's a few things on there you might want to check out. You can check out the programs I'm currently running, the workshops I'm currently running, and also some of the free videos you can watch on the media page, and also in the shop there's some free resources and also some resources you can purchase on there as well. So lots. If anybody's on the Gold Coast, actually I'm going to do a bit of a plug for the Gold Coast. I've got a 2-day workshop on the 30th of November and the 1st of December on the Gold Coast, 2 days, and this is a health and well-being and life balance seminar and workshop. So this is a great opportunity for 2 days to give yourself some time and space to focus on you. So we'll be dealing with the physical, the emotional, the mental, the spiritual, the vocational, the relationship, all the 10 aspects I work with. We'll be doing some interactive work, we'll be doing some fun work, lots of fun games, and lots of insightful work, lots of life mapping, and getting that vision, getting the plan, and then putting things in action to help you to get on track and stay on track in your life, to take your life to the next level, to take you into what I call that 80-20 principle, so that life is a bit fuller, so there's more contentment, more joy, more nourishment, more excitement, more sex, more intimacy, more finance, more of whatever it is you need. But you have to put the time and energy into this work. Personal and spiritual development takes time, takes energy, takes money, and it's really hard work. Getting into a daily practice of meditation is hard work for everybody listening in. And I know I think last week's show there were like 500 people watched this show in a week. So anybody listening in and watching in right now, I'm going to ask you the serious question. Meditation, one of the keys to personal and spiritual development and growth. So a self-assessment. Are you meditating every day? Have you got a meditation routine every day? Have you tried? Have you failed? Have you got the stamina, the will, the commitment just to meditate? Because that's one of the core basics of this work for the mindset, is to learn how to be still, because you can give yourself time and self-love in that space. So there's a good self-assessment straight away. How often are you meditating? You can also ask the question, how often are you journaling? How often are you walking on the beach? How often are you doing yoga, exercising? All those different questions. So they're good self-evaluation questions. Oh well, resonates. I was in denial, regret as a relationship with my sister. Niece drifted away for given reasons. Massive lesson, though she went down a road of addiction. I left and due to just trying to read this a little bit. She is very spiritually wise, loving, incredible person. I feel heard from it. From them to thank you. That's a really nice statement. Is it Cody? Yeah, I'm glad it resonates with you. And if you have any further questions on that, then please put in a question as well, because this show is all about you asking questions and getting a conversation happening to help people to get on track and stay on track, to create the vision, to create the plan, and then put the action into place. Thank you. Just wanted to express, I used to medicate. Yep, fantastic. So getting into meditation, Cody, really, really important, I believe. And there's a lot of people who work in the spiritual space who I talk to who don't do the self-love. They don't, they're great working with other people. They put all their time, all their energy into working for others and giving messages for others or healing others. And then I meet them and I look at them and I talk to them and we talk about their physicality. How are you physically? Are you on a good diet? Do you need to lose some weight? Do you need to stop medicating? Do you need to stop smoking, stop drinking? And there's a big proportion of people I meet in the spiritual community who do not look after themselves. They don't have enough self-respect, self-love, self-care, self-awareness. Because it's give. And it's out of balance. So that balance of giving and receiving really needs some support in this field of spirituality, I believe. There's a lot of people out there who are just not fit physically. They're not doing the work emotionally. They're not doing their own emotional work. Very, very stuck in unhappy relationships, or not able to get into a relationship, or not in good relationship with other human beings. Mentally, not studying, not expanding themselves. And spiritually, although they're doing the spiritual work for others, they're not doing it for themselves. They're giving advice to others but not for themselves. So it's about coming back to that question of self-love. What can we do for ourselves? Really, really important. And meditation, a big key part of that. Now I'm sitting here in the sunshine in Kira Beach up at the lookout with the ocean behind me. Absolutely stunning, 32 degrees. I've just had a great morning with about 15 people in a room doing a breakfast referrals in a breakfast group I'm in on the Gold Coast, and just had a leadership meeting in there. Feeling really good. I've got a great meeting this afternoon. Feeling in a really good space. I've got something online tonight to jump onto. And life is good, and it starts with a focus. Starts with I went for a walk on the beach this morning in Kira. I did a short meditation. I made sure that my breakfast was really healthy. So I set it up for myself because I care for me enough to do that. I was in the gym yesterday. I went for a long walk in the evening last night with Arlene, with my wife. I'm doing some yoga at the moment. So it's about putting things into place for ourselves to stay on track and be on track. And it takes commitment, it takes work. And sometimes it takes some coaching and guiding and mentoring. And this is where I come in. If I can be of any support in that space of coaching and mentoring for you, please do contact me. Because we know if your car is driving along and you've got a clunk, there's two options. Turn up the radio so you don't hear the clunk and the clunk gets worse, or you take it to a mechanic. If you've got a wobbly wheel, if your wheels are out of alignment on the car, you take it and get the alignment done, and you spend $100 or a couple of $100 to get the wheel alignment so you have a smooth ride in your car. Well, life is no different. Let's take an analogy. Let's take physical, emotional, mental and spiritual, and you're the vehicle. So you have 4 wheels and tires on the vehicle, which is you, the physical, the emotional, mental and spiritual. And let's say the physical is not in good order. You're going to get a clunk. And what that clunk does, it affects the rest of the vehicle, and it affects the alignment of all the other 3 tires as well, the other 3 wheels as well. If it's the emotional, you're not dealing with that. It will affect the alignment of those tires and wheels as well. Because when one thing is out of place, everything is out of place. So we have to bring it to a holistic vision, holistic perspective, and deal with the things that are making us wobbly in life, and bring us into alignment so we have a smoother journey. And the only way we can do that really is to do the self-evaluation and be honest with ourselves. What's not really working well in my life right now? And what do I need to attend to? And then we attend to it. And oftentimes we cannot do that alone. We have to get some support. We have to get the coaching, the mentoring. We have to get the health expert in. We have to get somebody in to help us. Because we can't know it all. We don't know it all. Because that old story, the old subconscious programming, the old belief systems, the old stories we carry, the old sabotage, they are strong, they're powerful. Some of them have been around for 20 or 30 or 40 years, and they're really ingrained in our being. So we have to find some skillful support to help us to break those old paradigms and bring in a new paradigm. Yep, I hope it's making sense to you. Because that's what it's all about, it's getting on track. And I know for some people, they hear the words and they hear me speak. They hear me speak and they know they have to get back on track. They know they're off track and they still do not attend to it. There's a laziness, there's a sabotage pattern that's so strong that they're getting some, what we call a secondary gain for staying stuck in that space. They may be getting attention. They may be, they're getting something from being in that space. But if they could only see it from a more objective perspective, they'd realize by changing it, they would actually receive more. It's just that the old pattern is in place where they're receiving something, pity, attention, something. There's usually something that people are gaining in that space. So we have to learn to let go of what that thing is that you're gaining, because it's only a little gain, and look at the bigger gain. What can I actually get out of my life by attending to the very things that need attending to. So I'm just going to have a little bit of a shift because the sun has moved, the shadow's creeping in. I'm not sure if you can see me as well as you might like to. As in the case, the shadow always moves in. There's a bit of a metaphor there, isn't there? So how's that? That might be a little bit better there. So any more comments, any more questions on here? Let's keep the show going with some comments and questions. It's a very bright day here today. I'm trying to sit in the shade a little bit so my solar panel doesn't get fried. I say it's absolute glorious day here. And just for those that weren't maybe on the show last week and listening in, I've just been away. I've been to India. I was for just over 2 weeks in India. I was there for a company I work with called Skyway Invest Group, which is a financial education company that helps people to get financial education and set themselves up for the future in a very sustainable financial freedom. So that's what I work with as part of what I've been studying myself now for over a year, about a year and a half, and really getting some deeper understanding of how I work with finance and what the financial world is, and how I can improve my own financial situation by having that education, but also now being part of a big group of global crowdfunding investors where we support companies to get going in crowd investing, to start for startups, and then we become partners in those companies. So I'm currently part of a global portfolio worth over $90 million, and we are getting monthly dividend payments on that, and they will be going to be increasing as I speak, month by month, and I'll be getting those loyalty payments or eventually dividend payments when the companies go public, pretty much for the rest of my life. So there's some things we can learn about being in finance. So that was part of being in India, was to celebrate 5 years of the company, and then I did some leadership training, and then I actually did a 3-day yoga retreat, which was for me just to take some time out for me. I'm just going to have a little bit of a shift and a move again. That's all about life, isn't it? If things aren't comfortable, just having a little bit of a shift so that things are a little bit more comfortable. So I just want to get into a space where you might be able to see me a little bit better. I'm not quite sure because I can only see my screen from here. So I'd just like you to take a moment, just get a sense of where you are right now in your life, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, vocationally, in relationship, or any other aspect. And if there's something that's not quite gelling for you, and you're not in alignment with that, maybe you might find a question around that. Is there a question you can ask? Is there a question you can ask Adrian that you might want some insight or some information on, or some answers on? While you're thinking about it, I'm just going to take you up to the space here, up to the ocean. Let you have a little bit of a look at what I'm seeing. So there's the Gold Coast on this side, and the ocean all the way down here. Quite amazing. Huge big strip of beach all there, the Gold Coast, obviously, hundreds of kilometres. Pretty amazing place. So I had a meeting here this morning, and here we go, is Kira Beach Lookout. Very, very, very special place. And just making that life choice to be living where one chooses to be is a big part. You know, what's the environment you want to be living in, and what you need to do in your life to actually create that. And sometimes that takes time. People have family, they have jobs, they have things that keep it in place. But if you want to be somewhere different than where you are, what's it going to take to move to that space? What do you need to visualize, and then what you need to plan, and then how you're going to take the action. So we visualize it, then we plan it, and then we take the action to actually put it into place, like everything in life. And for me, living on the east coast of Australia and near the ocean is a big part of what I choose, and it's about making that choices and making some sometimes difficult decisions about being here. You know, family, career, and other things that may play a part in that. But eventually having the vision of where one wants to be is quite important as well. So if you have that going on for you right now and you need to make some decisions on where you want to be, maybe start creating the vision for that. Creating the vision board for that, getting a sense of where you truly want to be. And then it may take 6 months or 12 months or 2 years or 5 years, but if you hold the vision and then do the planning and take some action, it actually can really happen for you. But it does take work, it does take focus. So let's just take a moment. I love these little thumbs up that come up on the screen, or little hearts that float up to the screen. It's actually quite lovely to know people are actually watching in, tuning in, sending little signs, little signals, little thumbs, little hearts, whatever's going on. So thank you for that. Yeah, the bit of gratitude. Actually, for those of you that are listening to the Spirituality Show, you may have seen, I think it was a couple of Saturdays back, where Melanie Spears, who creates the Gratitude Diary, she was on, and Sarah and I were in a space with her where we were doing a bit of an interview with Melanie, and that was a lot of fun. And we're talking a lot about this space of gratitude, and it's a really key part of the holistic living space, is getting into that space of gratitude. Gratitude for what I have in my life, gratitude for what I don't need to endure in my life, and really tuning into that space. What am I grateful for? Am I grateful for what I give myself? Am I grateful for what others give me? And am I grateful for what I don't have to endure? So they're the three key aspects that I work with when I'm working with gratitude. And I arrived here this morning. I drove down, I left my place at 6:30 this morning. Drive here, I got to Kira Beach about 7:20, and the meeting I had to be in was 7:30. So I had about 8 minutes. So I parked, I jogged to the beach quickly, and I stood on the edge of the ocean in the sand for about 3 minutes in gratitude. just in gratitude for being here, in gratitude for being in the ocean, for gratitude that I had the time and the space to drive down this morning, the gratitude that I was going to go into a meeting, the gratitude of my family, gratitude of my beautiful wife. Just 3 minutes of gratitude on the by the ocean this morning on the beach. Then I went into my meeting at 7:30, and it was really nice because I was calm. I'd done my gratitudes. I'd already done a few minutes of meditation at home before I jumped in the car, and I was ready for a meeting. And I was calm in the meeting, and I was present in the meeting because I'd prepared myself. Because a lot of the work we do is about preparation, preparing oneself for the situation in life. It's like a Monday morning preparation for the week. It's like a 6 or 7 a.m. preparation for the day. There's lots of preparation that needs to be done in life so that we can live our life more fully. And spiritual development work really is preparation work. It's about preparing the physical, the emotional, the mental, the spiritual to have a better life, to be a more contented life, to have a more joyous life. So I share with people, I say, do the preparation work for now. You know, I'm preparing myself now for my 60s because I don't want to be ill in my 60s. I don't want to be not able to walk well or run well or swim well or play golf well and all those other things. So right now I'm doing all the preparation work. So I'm feeling good right now in my 50s by doing the work, but I know it's preparing myself so I don't fail and fall down and get unfit in my 60s or even my 70s or my 80s or my 90s or in my 101, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's preparing now, although it's a lifestyle now, it's also a preparation now for the future. So it's really important to do the prep work. What can you do this week for next week? What can you do this month for next month? What can you do this year for next year? What's the vision of the future? Very, very important to have a vision of the future. As you know, for those of you on the show, I could be on a show for 5 hours and just keep filling the space with talk, but it's not really so much about me, it's about you, because I really want to support you on your journey now. So adrianhanks.com is the website to go to. Adrian Hanks on Facebook is the place to go to. Go and check out the programs, the workshops. I said there is a 2-day workshop happening on the Gold Coast, 30th of November and the 1st of December. Come along for 2 days, give yourself some time out and come and get some new skills, get some new insights, have some fun with other people, and just be in a group of like-minded, fun, energy people for 2 days. It's going to be an amazing event. I'm really looking forward to it. I've also got one in WA a week before that, so there's one on the West Coast, one on the East Coast. So, but I know there's a lot of Gold Coast and Brisbane and East Coast listeners on the show. So if you can make it across to the Gold Coast for that on the 30th of November and the 1st of December, that would be fantastic. Hey, we have some words coming on the screen. This is what I love. Okay, well, yes, this is awesome. How could balance my sister stuff and helping her in my life? I find a certain feeling arises when I say that. Fear, anxiety, now I say it is. Okay, so just looking at a question here. Well, yep, this is awesome. How could I balance out my sister stuff and helping her in my life? I find a certain feeling arises when I say that. Fear, anxiety, now I say it, it is gone. Look, I always say, Cody, one of the greatest ways to deal with fear and anxiety is to firstly name it. Go to the core. What is the fear? What is the anxiety? And then obviously, what do I need to do to overcome that anxiety or that fear? Usually we have to step into doing something different. We have to change the paradigm. And anxiety is fear. It's just it's a medical posh word for fear. It really is. It's like anxiety is just fear. I'm anxious of something, it means you're scared of something, you're fearful of something. So it's fear. And it's one of what I call the three beasts. There's fear, there's doubt, and there's hatred or self-hatred. They're the three big ones that we really have to work on in our lives. Fear is a huge one. We have fears every single day, the little fears, medium fears and big fears. So when we name that fear, when we work through that fear and we name it, we actually start to release it. And then we have to find the courage to step in to do something a bit different. It could be the courage to speak our truth. It could be the courage to be in or leave a relationship. It could be the fear of having to say something to a friend or a family member. So there's many, many, many aspects of fear, but you're right, once you name it, one can breathe a little bit. But when one doesn't name it and we're in anxiety, we're in tension, and we're in stress, and stress really is just tension. And we have to learn to release and let go, release and let go, release and let go. So we go from contraction to expansion, from contraction to expansion, from fear to courage, from doubt to clarity, from hatred to love. Yeah, so we go from contraction to expansion. We go from the tightness of a feeling or the negativity of a feeling to the positive, to the expansion. And when we're working with family members, it can be really tough because they're so close to our heart. And to help to balance out that situation, oftentimes it's about communication. Or sometimes choosing not to communicate. And sometimes to have the boundary. So there's lots of things we need to do, particularly around close friends and family members, to bring ourselves into balance. But the more balanced we are, the more balanced we are, the less reactive we are. The less we go into flight or fight, and we're more stable and present in the process. So a lot of it is about the inner work we do with ourselves. So we don't have projection, reaction and judgment. We don't take on the negativity, but we stay present. And that takes a lot of work. So thank you, Katie. Actually meditate. Sounds epic. Thank you. Bless you. Does look beautiful there. Yeah, it's a very beautiful place, Cody. It really, really is. And just choosing to live on the East Coast now. I had 3 years in Sydney, and then moved here in March near the ocean, and I just love being in the ocean. It soothes my soul, and I just absolutely love being on this East Coast near the ocean. Now from Byron Bay up to the Gold Coast, absolutely stunningly beautiful. There's other beautiful places in Australia, but this is a place that feeds my soul and is where I choose to be, and I make the most of being here. I'm a body surfer, so I love to be in the ocean. I love to swim, I love to walk on the beach, I love to go bush. So I take my didgeridoo player, so I take myself into the bush. So I make the most of my environment. I remember to smell the roses. I remember to walk on the beach and swim in the ocean, because it's part of the lifestyle. It's about choosing one's lifestyle, and sometimes it's not easy. It's not easy. Sometimes I have to sacrifice out some things to have what I have. But at the end of the day, we are free to make choices. Predominantly, sometimes it's not easy to make choices, but predominantly we're quite free. But a lot of it that holds us back is the fear. It's the fear and the doubt and the lack of self-love. So they're the key things to look at constantly, constantly, constantly. So looking at the time goes so quickly here. An hour goes so fast. I've got like 10 minutes left of the show, and it's like, wow, where does that time go to? And time can be an illusion too. You can be in a meditation for 3 minutes, it can feel like an hour. You can be in a meditation for an hour, it can feel like 2 minutes. So time can be quite illusionary for the mind. But in terms of our own time for self, and giving ourselves time for self-love, time for self-worth, giving ourselves time just to be with self is really, really important. Time to do study, time to do workshops, time to do healing work, time to do coaching and mentoring. We had a conversation today in the business breakfast about, if you want to improve your business, you have to do things to improve your business. And taking 1 or 2 or 3 hours out a week to go and get referrals for the business makes sense. It certainly does for me. I've come in, I've been part of this business network for a while now, and I've got some great referrals. I've got a couple of partnerships, some joint ventures coming out of it, because I choose to put the time into that, because that's how I build my business. So when I do a bit of business coaching with people, it's like, what's the best way for you to operate in your business to expand your business? Because we're all quite different the way we work. but it makes sense to put the time and the energy in to improve our lives in all different aspects, vocationally, job-wise, relationships, sexuality, intimacy, the physical, the emotional, the mental, the spiritual. They all need time, they all need energy, and sometimes they take money is needed too. But it's about the focus, it's about the evaluation of that. Where am I right now in my life, and what do I need to do next to take my life to the next level? How can I take that another percent, or another 2 or 3 or 5 or 10% into my life so I can have an improvement? Because for me, being human is about growth. It's about becoming a better human being every single day. For me, for my family, for my community, for the planet, for me, growth is important. Just like a tree grows, a tree expands, a tree develops. And if you take a fruit tree, a fruit tree only matures into fruit at a certain age. It has to grow there. It has to be nurtured to get to a beautiful tree to be able to produce the fruit. And if we want to produce the fruits of our life and leave a legacy and leave things for others and do things for others, we have to develop and nurture ourselves so we can actually give the fruits. It's a really good, image of where to get to as a human being. So thank you for the people who've been on the show today, and thank you for the people who've made some comments or asked questions. It's what makes the show. It really does. And I hope it hasn't been too glary. It's a little bit glary for me on the screen, so I'm not quite sure what you're seeing, but it is a very sunny day, and I am in the shade as much as I can, but the sun keeps moving around a bit. But I'm sure it's not so much about seeing me, it's about hearing what I have to say a little bit as well. But I'm just going to move a little bit here and just shift around a bit more. There he is. Just going to stand for a few moments and see if we can get a bit of a space. Here we go. And just looking around. Love it. That's what makes it. Yep. All clicked. Yes. Wow. Yes. Yeah. And thank you for engaging, because it's people who engage that really make the show happen. Otherwise, it's just me talking to a screen without the engagement. So I really want to thank you, Cody, and all the others on here who've done this today. And we might just have a bit more of a look about the space here today, looking at the ocean. And I want to leave you with a question. If you could do something today, to improve your life, what would it be? I just want you to take a moment. I want to finish up with this. We've got a few minutes. I want you to just take some time. If you're driving, obviously don't close your eyes. But just take a moment. If you could improve anything in your life right now, what would it be? That could be physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, in relationship, vocationally, financially, creatively, socially, communicative. So just get a sense of what that one thing would be. Just take one thing. How can you improve your life right now? And if you had a magic wand, and I do have one in my studio at home, I use it often, you could wave that magic wand and make that wish. What would your wish be? I want you to, if you can, write it down. If you can just grab a piece of paper and a pen, otherwise just try and remember it. What is that wish for yourself? What do you want to change in your life right now? And I want you to visualize what it will be like with that change. So you imagine visualizing, for instance, I want to visualize that I have more financial freedom in my life. I want you to visualize that for a moment. Visualize that for a moment. What would it be like by actually having it or doing it? It's okay to exercise. Imagine what life would be like if you chose to exercise. You could exercise every day. You had the right routine. Imagine life with exercise. Imagine life 6 months after beginning the exercise and improving the exercise. And just visualize that for a moment. I call this the future potential self. Visualizing into the future and imagining and seeing oneself in the future once this is in place. I have a very clear vision on many aspects of my life, and then I have the holistic picture. And one of them is the finance. One of them is the multi-millionaire status. And I've got a roadmap to get there. I have things in place to get there. I've got my education I'm doing it right now. I'm part of a global portfolio. I'm learning about how to deal with investments. I've got some products ready to go. I've got some visions on how I'm going to work with that and spend that and be with that. Exercise physically 12 months ago. I was 10 kilos heavier than I am now. I actually lost 16 kilos. And now, over the last few months, I've put on another 6 because I've put on some muscle. I've put 6 kilo of muscle on. So it was a vision. My vision was to have a six-pack. And I was joking with Eileen yesterday. I can actually see the beginnings of that. I've actually got a 2-pack at the moment. And then my next level is to get a 4-pack, and then I'll be hitting the 6-pack. So I just need to lose a bit more body fat. I went from 22% body fat, and I'm down to about 11, and now I want to get down to 8. So the vision is there, but I have to do the planning and the action. So visualize it. What do you need to do? What's your wish? Yep, they're really good ones. Well done, Cody. Well done, Katie. And when you have that clear, and you've written it down, ask yourself, how am I going to do that? How am I going to reach that vision, reach that wish? And part of it might be you need some support. Oftentimes we do. Tiger Woods this year won the Masters after a big break. He had a marriage breakdown, he had friendship breakdowns, he had a back breakdown, he had to have operations, and people said he would never come back to win a Masters. And he got coached, he got specialists in, he got mindset, he had relationship work, he had golfing coaches, and he got back to being on top. And it's very clear, and he said it so many times in interviews. He did it by getting the support, by getting the coaching, by getting the mentoring, and then he got back on track, and he's staying on track. Now he's winning titles. So if I can be of support in any way to help you to get on track and stay on track, you can contact me, adrianhanks.com, or get on my Facebook page and contact me, and we can have a conversation, get a free 30-minute consultation with me, and we can get you back on track. And if you're on the Gold Coast, please come along and do a 2-day workshop with me. Come and do a 2-day workshop. You'll have so much fun, there's so much energy in the room, you'll get so many insights, so many takeaways, so much to change your life in 2 days. It's going to be pretty epic. So, correct, yet loving oneself, that's where it all begins. It really does. So, we are coming up to the close of the show. Another couple of minutes. So a little bit of a last sharing. Write that down for yourself. And the thing you're going to need to do is make a commitment. You're going to need to make a commitment to make the change. So you can think it, but then you've got to feel it. You've got to feel the want. You've got to feel the desire. There's an absolute desire. And if any of you have read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, you'll know desire is a big part of change. You've got to want it. If you're going to stop cigarette smoking, you've got to want to stop. If you want to give up smoking pot, you've got to want to stop. You want to, get fit, you've got to want to get fit. If you want better communication, you've got to want better communication. So the desire has to be there. So create the desire. Start with a wish, create the desire. And then you can take action and actually do the changes. And part of that action might be to contact Adrian and do a mentoring, coaching session to get the vision, to get the plan, and then put things into action. And if that's all you do, that's great. If you even just have a free 30-minute consultation to get going, that's great. If you then choose to work with me afterwards, great. But if you don't, great. It's about getting you moving. That's the important part. Because humanity has come to a bit of a standstill. And we have to take self-responsibility to move it forward. We have to take physical, emotional, mental, spiritual responsibility to become better human beings. for ourselves, for our family, for our community, but mostly for the planet, for humanity. Because to be a representative of this planet as a human means we have to step up a little bit. It means we have to reach that minimum of the 80-20 principle. Otherwise, the planet's not in such a great shape. So we have to be stewards of the planet, and that starts with self-love, self-responsibility. And then once we have that, we can then share that with others and teach and help others to be the same. But we have to come back to self. That's why for me, I love doing the coaching, I love doing the mentoring, but more than anything, I love to try and walk my talk. I like to be physical, emotionally, mentally, spiritually fit. I like to be in good health. And that takes dedication and commitment. And I want to share that with you, and I know you can do the same. So on that note, I want to wish you blessings and namaste. Blessings from the Gold Coast, and I really do look forward to touching base with you real soon. Take care. See ya.